them. So this is quadratic inequations. Now this is the complicated one, or it looks more complicated than it is. Your book will describe this differently to how I'm going to tell you. I'm going to try and tell it to you in a simpler way than the book does. So in terms of an inequation for anything quadratic and above, so with linear ones you don't need to do this, but for quadratic ones and above you will need to do this. You will need to use something known as a sign diagram. So what a sign diagram does is it shows you whether or not something is positive or negative, or if it's at 0. Okay. Now, if you want a simplified version of saying, simplified way of saying it, it's essentially just a quadratic graph without showing the y-axis. That way, you just need to know whether or not it's positive or negative, really. Now, what the sign diagram tells you are the following things. So you see this section in blue here on the left. This part tells you whether or not something is positive or negative, and you need to say what values are in between. So if you look on the picture here, you have A and B. Now, if you have a look, if it's to the left of A, is it going down or, is it below the x-axis or above the x-axis? If you're going left of A, what's the y values? Is it going down or up? If you don't get what I mean, here, if you're going left, this graph is going down, right? Is it going up or down? Down, yeah? To the right of B, is it going up or down? Down. So, to the left of B, which is x less than A, to the right of B, which is x greater than A, and you need to show with a union sign saying they're together, that section is where your y values are negative. Does that make sense? No? Look at the graph shape. Any section that's below the x-axis, which is what this is, it's going to be y less than 0. Yeah? Simple enough? If it's above the x-axis, then it's where y is greater than 0. So it'll be between A and B. I'll put the one on the left here. Does that make sense? Yeah? So similarly, if you have the graph going the other way, for the bit underneath the x-axis, which is here, it's going to be between A and B. So if you look at the writing on the green on the right here, that's between A and B for your x values, or you can use your set notation. For the ones above the x-axis, it'll be less than A, and it'll be greater than B. Okay? It's all right, I'll do an example in a little bit. Now, if you just have a turning point on the x-axis, then there's only 2 scenarios, and these are the only scenarios you'll have. If y is less than, if you have a turning point where it's a maximum, and the turning point's on the x-axis, then it'll be y strictly less than 0, or equal to as well, because it will cross the x-axis. If it's a turning point, but it's above the x-axis, it'll be greater than or equal to 0. Any questions? This will be on OneNote in a moment, so if you don't, oh, actually this is already on OneNote, so you can get it down after. All right, I'll just show you a quick example, and you'll see what I mean. So, solve 4 minus x and 2x minus 3 greater than 0. Now, first thing you need to do is tell me what are the x-intercepts. Not -3. We'll do the one on the left first. 4 minus what gives you 0? 4, so x is 4. The other one? Nope. So 2x minus 3 equals 0. So you get 3, 2x, so x is 3 over 2. Okay? Then what you do after that is you draw your sign diagram. Really, it's just a quadratic. I'll show you what the sign diagram looks like, and you'll see why why I don't recommend you doing that. Anyway, now, is this graph positive or negative? You have a negative x times a 2x to give you that x squared term. So you have a negative x times 2x giving you negative 2x squared. You only have to check the x squared term to know if it's positive or negative, nothing else. So is this positive or negative? Negative, thank you. Draw it on. If you were drawing the sign diagram version, it will look like this. It's negative, positive, negative. It's up to you. If you want to do it that way, you can. It's exactly the same, but you'll notice that this matches the shape of what you normally see. This doesn't, which is a little bit odd. I'll leave that up to you. Your choice. Anyway, so we have 3 over 2 and 4. I'll do the same thing here. Whoops. Wrong one. That's 3 over 2. That's a 4. All right. Now, what does the sign up here say? Greater than 0. So do I take the bit above the x-axis or below? Above. So this section is above the x-axis. What values are they either in between, or are they going to be extending to the left and right? Sorry, I should say that again. Are they in between values, or are they outside the values? You want the bit above. Which part is above the x-axis? Is it in between 3 over 2 and 4, or is it outside of 3 and 2 and 4? Between? Okay. So it's between 3 and 2 and 4. So 3 over 2 and 4. Put the x in the middle. And now this says strictly greater than. So there's no equal sign. So you just use the symbol to show that it's in between. One more. All right. If you have a full general form, you need to firstly rearrange it. So this one's in a general form. So x squared minus 3x minus 10 is greater than or equal to 0. Now, because it's in a general form and you need to know the x-intercepts before you can do the rest, you need to firstly factorize it. So what are our two numbers? Good. -5 and +2. If you're not sure, you can take your time and work it out. That's fine. All right. So because it's x plus 2 and x less than, x minus 5, x plus 2 equals to 0. So what's x? -2. X minus 5 is equal to 0. What's x? 5. Now, which one do you guys prefer? Do you prefer the full sign diagram, or do you just want to draw the shape? The shape. It makes more sense, right? Now, because that says x squared there, is that positive or negative? Positive. Yeah. We have -2 and 5. We want the section greater than or equal to 0. So which section is it? The one above or below? Greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, it's always going to be above the x-axis. So we want the bit above. So is it going to be in between the two values, or is it going to be outside the two values? Outside, right? So x less than or equal to -2. Now, you might wonder why I put down a less than or equal to. See that? That tells you that that's also equal to, so you need to make sure that you use a less than or equal to sign. And then x greater than or equal to 5. Is that it? Or am I missing something? Always put the union sign down. If you don't put the union sign down, it doesn't show that they're together. It doesn't show that the group of them are equal to that, okay? So you always have to put the union sign down if it covers multiple values together.